Hey everybody, it's Tiffany at A Different Chick Farm and Orchard, and today I am going to do a video on our potting mix. Now this year has proven to be a bit of a struggle for us because we are a USDA organic certified farm. We do have to use USDA organic certified products. Mainly what you're looking for is this OMRI label. Now that's not a sure thing that you can always use it, but that's what you look for. When you are organic certified, you do have to find your products, then you have to submit a request to be able to use those products, and they will go and make sure that they are fine, because every now and then you do get into an item that was certified, but then they have actually found something wrong with it. They can't actually use it in organic production anymore. So you do have to do those things. Now, back to this year has proven to be an issue for us because there has been a very big problem with getting any organic potting mix, and especially germination mix in our country. We have two main suppliers that supply things all over the United States, and they've not been able to get an organic germination mix for us. So that has proven to be a big issue. Now, we could have just said, darn, what are we going to do? But instead, we decided to make our own germination mix, which is going to be the base that I'm going to show you here. But what we're going to do today is our potting mix. So let's get started. So first off, you're going to get you a tub. Now you can do this if you're doing it on a smaller level with a 5-gallon bucket, but we need a big tub because we go through a lot of plants. So if Chubbs, our cat here, which you cannot see on the video, will move, and I'm going to have to watch out, Chubbs. So this is Chubbs. She is the loving cat of the family, and this is what she does. She hugs you and she gives you kisses. And she likes you to give her attention and not work. So we're going to put Chubbs down. So Chubbs, say hello to everybody and say goodbye to everybody. Get your last kisses in. So what we are starting with is an organic peat moss. So you want a peat moss that is very nice broke up. You can see this one right here is very, very nice. There's not many big pieces in it. And that is one thing we've ran into in the past, is for germination mixes. They have way too big of pieces in them to be able to use successfully. You know, your tiny little seeds like lettuce seeds and thyme seeds just don't want to come up when they have those big things on top of them. So what we use, excuse me, is the Lambert black bag, and it is OMRI certified. And you are probably never going to see the label here, and it's probably going to be too heavy for me to pick up. But it's the black Bale. Now, that being said, there are none of those right now in the country either. What we're working with is the ones we bought last year when we planted our blueberries. So, I have 5 of these 3 square foot bales of peat moss left in this one, but I have found another source that makes Pro Mix, and it's Premier, and I found that locally. So when these run out, that's what I'm going to get next. But for now, this is what we got. So what we're going to start out, I love these scoops. They were our feed scoops for our chickens, and we've kind of transformed that chicken business into more plant business and food business. So they make great products for getting your soil products out. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 5 scoops of the peat moss. Now, if you've never used peat moss before, it is a condensed bale. It is not all light and fluffy like this. you have to dig down in there and break it apart because you have big condensed clumps. So when you start breaking that apart, you have a lot more than what you thought you had there. So, and it sounds like I have a Charlie visitor. If you've ever watched my videos before, Charlie likes to be the center of attention. So it looks like he's coming this direction too. So you'll probably see him shortly if you don't see him in the background. So next, all together, we are actually going to do 15 of our peat moss, and then 5 of a mixture of our perlite and our vermiculite. So I like to layer it because it's easier to mix up that way. So we're going to do 1 of our vermiculite and 1 of our perlite. And this is for keeping moisture and keeping it broke up, because if you just use peat moss, you are just going to have a condensed clump and your roots are not going to be able to breathe, and it's not going to be able to grow like you wanted it to. So we've got that in here. Excuse me while I step away from the dust. Now, one thing COVID has taught us is masks are a great thing. So, usually I actually have my mask on for this, which is about its only purpose nowadays. But I didn't bring it down here. So, I'm just going to watch, because you don't really want to breathe in the dust. Even though it is OMRI safe, it's not necessarily safe for you to breathe in. So, you want to watch that. Now, if I was going to just be making our germination mix, I'd just continue this process, but I'm not. This is my potting mix. So next, I've got my peat moss, and I've got my vermiculite, and I've got my perlite. So now, I need something to give it a bit more oomph. Get that nutrition going. So, this is really heavy, by the way. I am using my Daddy Petes Kickin Chickin. Now, it is not OMRI certified on the list, but I have went with my producers, and it is organic, and I have it approved through CCOF for my production. So, now, you can look here, and you can see there's a lot of chunks in there. So this is why you would not want to use this in your germination mix, because it would have a really hard time actually germinating. But it's great for this because they've already germinated. And the Kickin Chickin has got their regular cow manure mixed with some chicken manure. So it gives it that extra nitrogen you need to get that plant growth. So we're going to put a scoop of that in there. Now, we could say we're done with that. But maintenance-wise, on our potting plants, I don't want to be fertilizing. Now, we do a water fertilizer, or liquid fertilizer, like once a week. But as far as a slow release, we want that in there too, so we don't have to worry about it as much, and we give these plants that extra nutrition. So, I am going to put in there some Espoma Organic Garden Tone. We love this stuff, and we actually use the organic Espoma products in almost all of our gardening. We use the products on our figs, our tomatoes, basically everything we grow gets Espoma. So, we're going to sprinkle some of that in there. Now, we are ready to continue. Now, you don't want a lot, because a lot of fertilizer is going to burn your plants, so that's not what we are looking for. So we're going to go back to now 5 more scoops of the peat moss. got that in there. And we're going to do one more scoop of our vermiculite. As you can see, vermiculite is very fine, but it helps absorb water. So it keeps your plants moisturized, which is what you're going to want. Now, perlite, you can actually get in lots of different grades. The unfortunate thing is the finer stuff that we would normally like was not available this year. So we are having to go with this one. And I can't remember if this one was coarse or super coarse. But anyway, that's what we had to go with. I will try to look back at my records and see which one this one is, and then I will post it at the bottom of the video. So we're going to add that. Do it slowly this time so we don't have the dust, since I don't have my mask. And we are going to add our Petes Kickin Chickin. And our Espoma garden tone. Now we're going to finish it off with 5 more scoops of peat moss. And like I said, this is a condensed bale. So you kind of have to scrape it off as you go, which is a little bit annoying, but it's okay because you are saving a lot in getting that condensed bale. So now this time, you only want half a scoop of vermiculite and perlite because we're going for that 15 peat moss, 5 of the items that break up that soil for moisture retention. Okay. And Kickin Chickin. And garden tone. Now I kept the amount of Kickin Chickin and garden tone to what I used before, just because that extra nutrition, and we're doing the 3 layers. So we'll roll up my sleeves because it's about to get dirty in here. And you mix. Now, once again, this is better done with a mask because you can be breathing in stuff that's not healthy for you, you know, especially if you have any issues like COP, chronic emphysema, or if you've recently had COVID. It takes a long time for your lungs to recover from all that. So masks are definitely a great thing when you're mixing this, but I'm being careful, so I'll be okay on this one. Now, you do have to dig down to the bottom, but it does make it easier doing layers like I did. That way you do not have to mix and blend as much, and it's a whole lot easier that way. So you got to keep doing this. One, you want all those items to be mixed together, you know, just like when you're making a cake. If you have, I have come across a lump. So sometimes you get lumps. This one actually is from the garden tone. So you can break it up. For me, I'm just going to pour it out over there because I don't want that lump in my potting mix because that may be too much fertilization for one plant. So we're just going to throw it out. But just like baking a cake, if you put all of your stuff in your mixing bowl and just stir it up, we'll say 2 stirs around, you're going to have a cake that don't have the eggs mixed in, or the oil is over on one side, and you're going to come up with a nasty, disgusting mess. So same thing with your potting mix. You're going to have some that's going to be all peat moss, which is not good because it's going to be a condensed lumpy mess, kind of like what that becomes. So we don't want that. Put that in there. Or you're going to have all perlite, which is not good either, because then you're not going to have anything for the roots to grow into. Now, it would be good if you were doing hydroponics, because it have all that airflow, water could move freely, but that's not what we're doing. We're planting plants here that grow in your garden and grow in soil. So we just keep mixing it up, and it is actually looking great and very nice. This is why I do layers, because it makes my job so much easier. Now, what I tell people all the time is, if you don't like to get your hands dirty, don't garden. I don't garden with gloves. I hate gloves. I don't use gloves when I am doing elderberries. Yes, your hands get stained, but it's okay. It washes off. It's not permanent. You know, even permanent sharper markers aren't permanent. You know, one time, and my kids might kill me for saying the story. One time when Morgan was about a year old or so, maybe a little bit less, Alyssa decided that she thought it was a great idea to find our black Sharpie marker and color her sister's face black. So Morgan had a black streak all over her face, just lines everywhere, and I came home and I was just, actually I was already at home. I came into the room and I was distraught, because I was like, oh no, I can't do anything. My child was not going to be able to go out forever. But it took about 2 days and she cleared up. So, not a big deal. You know, 2 days, you're going to look funny going out in public sometimes. But I don't like those. But if you want to, that's fine. Now, if you're doing this and you really, really need gloves, make sure you get the ones up here, because that's what you're going to need. Now, otherwise, it's going to wash right off. Nothing in this is going to be toxic to you. Nothing's going to hurt you. That is why we like organic products. Now, all organic products are not going to never ever cause any problems. There are still irritants, just like, we'll say, essential oils. If you use them in soaps and you use them in your foods, it doesn't bother you. But if you take an essential oil and directly put it on your skin, it might cause an allergic reaction or a rash. So same thing with organic products. You know, when you spray your organic, we'll say horticultural oil, because that's about our next season here, you're going to want to wear a mask, because you're still not going to want to breathe it, and you're going to want to wear long sleeves and long pants, because you're not going to want it on your skin, because it's still a product you're not going to want on you directly, because it can cause issues, just like copper fungicides. Copper fungicides are great to spray with. You don't want to spray a lot. You only want to spray them if you absolutely have to. For us, cedar apple rust and some of the other issues out there require us to spray with a copper fungicide. Now, we only do it when we know we have to, and we only do it very sparingly, and if we see a problem, because we know it actually does contaminate the soils over time. So we don't want to actually use that on a regular basis. But also, when we do that, we want to watch the environment around. You want to watch for earthworms to make sure that you still have earthworms, because too much copper fungicide can start killing things like that you want, your beneficial items. So I think we are about mixed together. Like I said, I like doing this very heavily, so I don't have any issues whatsoever, and don't have too much of one item in one spot. So what we end up with is a beautiful potting mix. Light and fluffy, just downright nice and gorgeous. So that's going to retain moisture. It is going to feed our plants, and it's going to continue to give that more, or that feeding, and the Espoma and the Kickin Chickin are going to continue to break down during the season to continue to feed that plant. So, I think that's it for today. And I hope you enjoy it and watch for more. And we'll have more videos coming up very soon. Thank you. Bye.